babe.
Hey, Han, how's it going?
Really good, thank you. Exceptional Christmas jumper.
Why, thank you. You look like an adorable little pudding, don't you?
Christmas pudding. So, for anyone listening who might be guessing, it is currently middle of December. This is going to be our final episode of season 1 of the Lucky Biz Podcast and our final episode of 2023. So we thought we would spend today chatting through some of the big points of the year. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to talk about what we've done this year, where we're going next year, and just put a really nice little outro to the year. How's that sound, babe?
Yay! Yeah, that sounds super exciting. We've had a very busy year, so it'd be very interesting, I think, to kind of like recap it, remind myself.
Yeah, totally. I think we were both putting some notes together this week, weren't we, for this? And just the things that you think of, you're like, God, that feels like a lifetime ago, and it was March.
Yeah, it's been a busy year in a great way, but very busy.
It just flies by, doesn't it? So for anyone who is new to Lucky Night Studio, if this is the first podcast you've listened to or the first time that you've discovered us, as it were, let me just give you a little recap on our story. So Louise and I are best buds. We've been buds for over 10, I always say over 10 years, but I think I've been saying that for about 3 years now. So for a long time.
Yes.
And we went into business together at the end of 2021. We were offering one-to-one services, so web design, branding, all of that kind of stuff. We did very well very quickly and then completely burnt out. Just completely lost all steam. Carried on ticking things over in the background, but we kind of ghosted social media and our marketing and things like that for best part of 6 months. And then in the early stages of this year, we relaunched our business with a more passive income focused model where we sell templates and courses, as well as the occasional one-to-one project, with the intention that we can slow down our marketing efforts, focus on longer term strategies, and become even more profitable while not working all the hours of the day. So
yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
That is kind of what we're going to be recapping today, is that pivot and how it's gone in the first year of it, and looking into 2024 and how we're going to continue onwards into the next year and hopefully many more to come.
Onwards and upwards. Onwards and upwards. Yeah.
And upwards, babe. Exactly that. So Lou, my babe, I think that you should kick us off and we can dig deep a little bit into the main thing that we focus on this year, which is selling website templates. Yeah.
So as you kind of like recapped, started off with services, and then because I think we've both played around with Squarespace separately. We really liked the platform, and we were also getting a lot of feedback from our clients as well about how much they liked it. As much as we were doing custom made websites and there was a content management system in it, it didn't have all the bells and whistles. I don't have all the time to give it, as well as making it really easy for people to use. So we were struggling with that balance. And so that's where, we were like, do you know what? Maybe we should work with Squarespace instead and be able to kind of provide these things a bit more for everyone and hopefully reach more people as well. Because that's what we were finding. A lot of people were like, I'd love to work with you guys, but, either we didn't have time or they didn't have time, because it is a lot of content that you need to kind of give us. We need to do a lot of like deep dive and things like that. Or also like the pricing, hiring both of us, for extensive period of time, will always cost a bit more than buying a template. That's just the way the world works, I'm afraid.
That is the way the world works. Yeah. Yes. And I think what's been really interesting for me about this whole process is we've realized we started off with website templates. That was like the only thing that we sold through our site. And the hunger from people to do things themselves has really surprised me. Because we've only ever worked in services before, I think I had this kind of assumption that no one wants to do anything themselves. We all want to like offload as much stuff as possible. But that really hasn't been the case, has it?
And I love the fact that you're surprised by it, considering you hold your hands up are an absolute control freak. So, and then it was like, when we spoke to more people, they were like, yes, so am I. As much as I know I shouldn't be, I would like to manage every little tiny thing in my business. And, and we get it, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and I do hold my hands up to that. And I think, that has been fun for me to realize, is that like, so many of us are the same. And actually, yeah, maybe not every single tiny piece of the business needs to be controlled by us. And we're getting better at letting little bits and pieces go. But when it's something as massive as your website or your marketing presence or anything like that, I can understand the need for control, particularly in those first few years.
Yeah. And I think that's what I like to think what the templates really help with as well, is that it does give you the control, but it also gives you so much more direction. Because we often get this as well, as like, oh, well, Squarespace have templates. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever tried to like fill them out, because it's all lorem ipsum, and because it's meant to work with every business out there. It's like a very basic template. It's very hard to know what content you should be putting there. So that's why kind of, we work a lot on the content prompts, which we've got such great feedback from, which is absolutely great. We found that really helpful. And these are things that we've learned over the years from doing clients' websites. So these are all like, the best practices that we've kind of found over time, isn't it? So
so absolutely. And yeah, I think the guided content is definitely one of the biggest selling points. And I think it's like exactly what you said. Yes, you can use the free ones available in Squarespace. And, if your budget is super limited, we recommend that you do. Yeah. But you're not going to get that guidance. You're not going to end up with a website that is still, it's like a budget DIY option that is still tailor-made, particularly ours, for female-founded small businesses. You just don't get that kind of niching when you opt for the standards.
Yeah. I always like to think of it as well, like in Canva, you can use a blank page and you can start from there. Or you can start from a template which already has the basics, a little bit of content guidance, and then you're already on your way. And that's kind of what I think, it's that next stage, isn't it? We're not all, especially myself, we're not all designers. So I need that bit of help and guidance. I can do some colors, I can do some fonts and images, but I don't have the skill set, because you need such a special eye. And I think everyone has a good eye for design, because I think that's kind of quite natural, as in I can tell that what I create isn't great design, but I also don't have the skills to realize how to make it better or why. So I think having that little bit of design, well, not a little bit, but quite a lot of design touch, especially in ours, which are quite flamboyant and extrovert and fun, I like to think. But yeah, so let's break down then kind of like the good, the bad, and what we've learned.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds like a good way to tackle this episode.
Yes. Okay, so the good for selling websites. So they are a lot of work, because obviously we need to kind of create it at the start for them to be ready, but then once they are on the website, they are passive, and that was what we were looking for, wasn't it? That was our kind of our focus and our pivot, because we were just getting burnt out trying to do it all and trying to actually make money from this as well as a business. So the idea that it's passive, it has been quite difficult to pivot, but that is obviously, like, there's nothing better than waking up in the morning and then seeing that there's been a sale. You're like, oh, that was lovely. That felt like I love that.
It's such a great feeling. I do want to nitpick slightly, and I do want to say it's not passive. It's like, it's semi-passive. There's still, we still have to kind of create the site and that user's account. There's a lot of support that goes into it. We have a lot of course creation, but it is still a great deal less work than working one-to-one with us. If we'd have tried to work one-to-one projects with every single person that we sold a template to this year, I don't know that we'd have left our desks even for a week, the whole year. It would have been a nightmare. So totally true. I love the kind of semi-passive nature of them. They made such a difference to like the way our business runs. And I think another great thing about our template range for me is not just the feedback that you get, but having that kind of tangible, visible proof that someone has used your product and created something amazing. Like, so when they launch and you get to see that site go live, because someone else has done it using resources that you've provided, I almost feel prouder. Do you feel that way?
Yes, no, definitely. And I think they do as well. They're like, I'm so proud that I was able to like adjust this to how I kind of need it for my business,
100%. And I feel when a website of ours gets launched, I feel more proud for them. So I'm like so excited for them. I don't get, I've been in one-to-one services too long, as you have. Like, I don't get that rush with that anymore. But seeing someone else achieve it, I'm like, oh yeah, baby, this is the good stuff.
Yeah. No, I think it's, and like the feedback that we've had from it is just, it's great, and that we've been able to work with so many more people than we would have. It's fantastic. I think it's also like, you mentioned this in the intro anyway, but like how many people want to DIY. It's given us like loads of like new ideas for how else we can help other female founders like in businesses, because like I think it's helped us realize we've actually obviously got from years of experience like a wealth of knowledge that we're trying to package up and give out in like the easiest ways possible, isn't it? So it's just been a massive like learning experience to how much people do want to do it themselves and learn as well, which I think is meant to be a fun part of the business. It can be stressful, obviously, when things aren't going well, but it is meant to be fun. Yeah,
it is very fun, and I think that pivots us nicely into maybe the things I don't like that we've called it the bad. I titled it, and I think I was going for like a good, the bad, and the ugly thing, but it's not necessarily bad, but the more challenging aspects of this. I cannot reiterate enough like how much work they really are up front. More so than even a one-to-one project, because you have to do so much more research, you have to do so much more testing, because you know that it's going to be implemented by more than just one person. When you work one-to-one with someone, you know exactly what they're going to do with that website and what they're not going to do with it, which means that, I don't want to use the terminology cut corners because that's not what it is, but it means that you get to like strip it back, and you can say, well, that's not important to them, they won't use that. You can't do that with templates because you can't predict how they're going to be used.
From a coding standpoint, not that there's a huge amount of custom code in there, but there's a lot of like custom CSS. We had our own SVGs. There was a lot of technical challenges with doing that. So we've got, with our templates, it's linked up to the Squarespace palette colors, so that anyone who changes their colors, the icons will change, the borders, all those things, everything should change with it. So there's very little for the customer to do. But technically, that was hard. That took quite a while to like figure out the best way to do it, because it's not something we've seen other templates do. But for us, it was really important. A lot of other templates, because we obviously did our research, they do that thing where it's like, and you take it to Canva and you edit it, or you take it to Figma, and you edit all the colors and then put it back in there. And it's like, that's quite tricky, I think, and it's a very time consuming, especially if you do it on every single page, in comparison to just changing the palette colors. So that was really important to us. And it was very tricky because, as you said, I need to make sure it works with every kind of custom gallery that they could have, every testimonials that they could have, if they have loads of text, no text, all of these like little hiccups. But these challenges are always good, and I'm very proud of what we've kind of created as well, which is nice.
100%. I could not agree with that more. And I think I hope that it's really obvious from our template range how much we have centralized our customers in them, and that we could have made them in half the time, but in our opinion they would have been half as good. So yes, it was a lot of work up front, and it will continue to be, because we've got plans to expand our range over the next few years. So it's going to continue to be a lot of work, but like you say, it's just totally worth it. So
definitely.
Another challenge that I think this is going to come up more than once, I think, because of the nature of the way that we've pivoted our business, is the change from selling one-to-one to selling at scale. I can't even tell you how unrealistic our expectations were for those first 3 months. I remember sitting down at the beginning of the launch period and saying, like, what do we think? How many of these do we want to sell a month? And I think that we said 30.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't. And the thing is, it doesn't sound like a huge number when you say it at like 30. But when you think that that's like 30 people who have to spend £250-ish on a product that you just released this week, I don't know what we were thinking. So learning our way around this new business strategy basically has been it's been a lot.
But it's been a lot, and I think not going to go on a rant here, but we did do our research and we follow the right people. And I just felt like it was almost a little bit missold. I felt like it was like, oh, you just kind of like create products, put it out there, and that's fine. Moving from a service to a product-based business, is like a switch, and you just kind of, it's not. It takes so long, and and that does make sense. It is a numbers game. It's about getting loads of visitors to your website, and then a normal conversion rate is about 2%. So, it is a numbers game, but I feel like it's not spoken about enough. And I understand why. Everyone obviously wants to be very positive when they're talking about these things. But I sometimes feel, especially for other female founders, this overly positive atmosphere about businesses can make other women feel a bit like a failure, because that's what we kind of struggled through. We were like, well, everyone else is saying it's easy and everyone else is doing it, and and we think our products are really good. Why are we not getting those results? But we had to work through it like all good 100%. People, but it was hard.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. I think that, and digital products at the moment are the thing.
Yes.
They're everywhere, and they make a lot of sense to a business. They really, like, we're not denying that, and they have been foundational for us in the way that we've changed what we're doing. Like, we wouldn't change it for the world, but I think this idea that you're going to create a workbook, a template, or something on Canva, and you're going to start making thousands of extra pounds a month within like 6 weeks, is parroted so much, and that just isn't the case. Like you say, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and that's not a bad thing. We're happy to do that work, and we're glad with the direction that we've taken, but it really isn't as simple as a lot of people would make out.
That's it. But then again, I think I think what that really is down to is that the YouTube title of a video being how to make like money on Etsy selling this workbook, but over several periods of hard work and 40 hours a week kind of work. Not a very good title, is it?
You're absolutely right.
Like, make 500 sales in a week on Etsy. Do you know what I mean? It's a way better title. So I can see why there's that idea.
It's more appealing, isn't it? I think
it's way more appealing. Yeah, and I think there's just that kind of idea, isn't there, behind it of like, oh, it must be that simple, and I wish it was, but it's not.
I think that ties in quite nicely to our lesson from this portion of our roundup, though, which is like, it's all right to take your time. Yes. It's not going to happen overnight, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. If you can be realistic about your timeframes, more realistic than we were when we first got our foot in the door, like, you're going to be fine. You just take your time, keep pushing, keep that promotion up. Remember, like you said, Lou, that it is a numbers game. We're all about increasing our visibility, building your audience, and just like play the long game. That is the best way to do this kind of any kind of business, really, but particularly if you're looking to sell at scale.
Yes, no, definitely. I think that realistic attitude has been a real hard lesson for both of us. And to be honest, we are in a very lucky position as well that we're doing this together. So we do get to, but then in some ways, I think we both egg each other on. Oh yeah, we'll totally do it. We'll totally we'll smash this. We'll we kind of, and so we'll probably talk about this later, but we did, we invested in ourselves this year and we got a business coach. And again, that was really helpful. Having like someone outside of your business, so not so emotionally connected to it, to kind of run through numbers with, and also someone to go, everything is on its way up. It's just that our expectations were kind of just a bit mental, basically. But, I would always recommend for other women out there as well, if you can get someone supportive who is kind of a bit outside your business, generally I would always say not your partner, because that is, they just don't want to hear it.
But also, like, they're probably not your kind of target audience. They haven't done what you've done before, so probably not them.
Yeah, but also I think they are still emotionally invested in it, because obviously they want you to succeed. Yeah, as a partner. So I think it's not, if that doesn't.
It's not a bad thing, but maybe they're not the best person to ask.
Best person, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so, I think business coaching, we have always struggled with investing in ourselves and in our business. Yes. We're both financially cautious people. I think that's fair to say. So this is the first year where we've really taken big steps into investing in our business and investing in support, and it's been an absolute game changer. So I highly recommend that.
Yes. Yeah, me too. So what else did we do this year? We also launched, which was very exciting and very surprising, I would say, it definitely wasn't what we originally planned, was we launched an SEO course. Can you believe it? I can't believe it myself.
It was just the perfect kind of example of reactive business from us, you know. And I'm really proud of the way that we did that. We had this template range coming out, and then all of a sudden people were asking us questions about SEO and search engines and how to make those websites more effective. And we thought, okay, well, here's a fantastic in, because Louise, you know, I know my way around SEO. Louise is much more of an expert than me. She's got that information, that knowledge is in her brain. And we sometimes with notes.
Yeah, exactly. Hints.
So yeah, you know, and to talk again about, so our initial launch for our first ever SEO course was the first time that we ever spent meaningful money, and when I say meaningful money, I mean like a few £100s on support for our business, on marketing support in particular. And I just want to do a little shout out to Han, so that social hand we had on the podcast last week, because she was our first ever foray into marketing support and launch support, and without her we would have hit the dust. I don't know what I'm trying to say. There's a saying that I'm grasping for that isn't coming, but yeah, you know, we would have failed, and I just think I'm so grateful to her for that.
Oh, absolutely. Again, same thing of like being unrealistic, but yeah, I learned just so much from her, and it was one of those ridiculous things almost, as in like when she was saying these things, I was like, oh, of course, why would I not? Like, you know, we were doing like the very silly things of like, let's start like building this whole course out before we've even started marketing it. And she's like, no, you market first, see if there's the need for it, you know, get that feedback. And I was like, yeah, of course. Why would I do all the work before knowing that it's even going to be able to sell?
Yeah, like, you know, before you validated that idea.
Totally, you know, and how we go about it and how we discuss it and how we get feedback and like what the whole, like, yeah, there's a lot more in it than I ever thought was for launching a course, because as probably a lot of people, I thought, oh, just like record some videos and write some stuff and then like there's a lot in there, but
absolutely,
it was great. Good learning.
It was great, and we set a much more realistic target for that, but still I would say a reach target. So it was still a number that we were like, we're being a bit OTT, I don't know if that's going to happen, and we ended up exceeding that launch target by over 30%. So we nearly got like 1.5 times our launch target, which just felt amazing, because our first launch of the website templates hadn't gone badly, but it hadn't gone as well as we had wanted, because we had no context for our launch of that kind of work. So it was nice to have that kind of validation that yes, we can do this and we are capable. That was wonderful.
Absolutely, yeah. And so to give some context as well, with this launch, we actually held a Discord server and that was fantastic. So we did want to explore a lot more like this community, because we've got like a lovely community on Instagram, you know, but it's still private messages. It's still direct messages, isn't it? It's not like a group community kind of feeling. So that's what we were hoping for with the Discord, and we absolutely got it. And it was just felt really great to be able to see people working through the course, people asking questions, you know, and being able to be specific about like, this is my website, how do I, you know, and the more direct questions, not just kind of like generalized. Yeah, and it was great. And then we could see them helping each other as well, which is exactly what we wanted, you know, and then that helped everyone kind of understand more about the businesses and SEO in general. So yeah, that feeling of community and being able to help each other, yeah, that was really, really rewarding as well.
It was such a vibe. And I know that, so like you say, we saw people within the group like helping each other, which was just absolutely amazing. And then after the course, we saw a lot of people who had been members together had started working together on different projects, and that was like the most exciting and the most rewarding feeling, knowing that we created this community that was serving not just us and our interests, and not just the interests of the people that took the course, but also like in a wider sense, it built more of a community. And it just felt, there was just something so dreamy about that. And we are relaunching the same course in a different format in January. Imagine saying And we can't wait for that to be a part of it again. We're definitely going to include a group element to it, because it was the best part of the course for us.
No, it was highly rewarding. And I think when you, like most people now, work remotely or from home, which I get, it does make sense, but you do miss a lot of that connection. And also like knowing like, oh, you should ask such and such, they're a copywriter. Oh, you should ask such and such, they do marketing, they do social media. Just those little, like, who do you go to for these little, even just to say, I don't have the budget at the moment for all of this, but like, do you have a small package? Do you have a course? Do you have like a workbook even? Do you know what I mean? It's just those asking for help as well. Yeah, so it's been, yes, fantastic.
And what would you say that like our lesson was from that? I think we've talked about the good and the bad that came from that a bit. So what did you say that the lesson was? Well, lessons,
yeah. So I think a lot of it was, so in this course we were doing like an email model. So it was like a weekly email where they were kind of like working through about like 30 minutes kind of a week to go through it. However, that doesn't always work for people. We were hoping to make it like small and bite-sized so it's easily digestible. But like, it's just one of those things that suddenly people had deadlines, and so suddenly they had to crunch through several weeks, and then they had a couple of weeks they needed to catch up on, and then it was, so I think that was definitely, so in this next one that we're going to be launching, it's going to be self-paced, because we just think then people who want to just sit there for a week and kind of crack through it all, they can do that as well. But also if you've got several deadlines and you think, oh, do you know what, over the summer holidays I'm going to do this, or when the kids go back to school, vice versa, I'm going to be able to do this. Basically it's just a struggle to work out everyone's time and how they want to manage it. So we want to give that back to our audience to say they can kind of manage their own time. We're not going to kind of drip feed it to you in the hope that this makes it more manageable for you. You can kind of, you need to manage that yourself. I think that was a learning curve for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we kind of set up the email module to make things easier for people. We felt like weekly emails of bite-sized tasks would be the best way to approach it. And we still stand by that. And that's still how we're structuring the next version of this course. But instead of, like you say, being drip fed week by week, it will be all available to you, so you can work through as many of those bite-sized chunks as you like. And then because we ran it over the summer, which was fantastic, but it also meant that a couple of people got left behind with the summer holidays. There were people going abroad for their holidays or like seeing family. And it just, once you lost track of the emails, it seemed like people found it quite difficult to pick them back up. So we think that a self-paced course will ease that kind of issue. So it's all about learning. It's a learning curve.
Exactly that. Yeah. So, which is, and it's also us learning about our audience. It's always going to be a bit of a struggle when you're working with women, because women are just bloody doing it all, aren't they? And so you've got suddenly summer holidays, and then you've also got, oh no, kids are back to school. There's lots of like running around and hobbies and pickups. There's lots to women
do.
Got a lot going on, as always.
We do. Yeah, we really do. I'm saying we, like I've got children that I need to run around after, and I don't. So it absolutely...
You've got a furry one. What do they call them? Fur babies. I don't like that. I know.
I hate that.
Literally, I had it come out of my mouth and I was like, oh, no.
I know. My mum says fur baby and all there. But yeah, it's just, like when you have business pals and then you find out that they also work like full or part-time somewhere else, and you're like, Jesus Christ, how are you doing it? I feel the same as like when there's someone that you really admire in business, and then you find out they've got 2 kids and you're like, what like what am I doing? I can't even. And I know that it's not a competition, it's not about that at all, but it just puts stuff into perspective, doesn't it? How much some people are able to get done. It's amazing.
Simply incredible. And that's why and that's like we want to focus on, and we try and focus, like especially from us being burnt out originally in our business, is that we just want to be really clear and actionable. That was what kind of we wanted to focus on. And with all of us, like with the templates as well, with the courses, everything, we know that you're busy. It's not, we don't want the reasons behind it. I don't want why this and why, and I don't need a history of when the first computer was made. We've all done those courses.
Don't need to learn about Tim Berners-Lee, all right?
That's it. I just want to know how I can get more people to my website. I just want to know how to make sales. Like I just want that. I just need the quicker answer. So that's kind of what we want to always focus on, isn't it?
Well, you've captured that absolutely beautifully, and I'll be using that snippet in all of our marketing going forward. Well done, my babe.
Thank you. And so what else have we been up to then, babe? What else have we been up to?
I think because of the way that we've pivoted our business, we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, you know, we're moving from a one-to-one model to a one-to-many, which means that we need to scale, which means that a huge focus of this year for us has been building our visibility online. So I'm just going to kick straight off here with all the good bits, because this has actually been one of my favorite things that we've done this year. Like, I know I'm saying it like it's a kind of simple project. It's very much ongoing, but it's fun. This is fun work. We are talking podcast appearances, having guests on our own podcast, running workshops for people, you know, running co-working events and going to co-working events and meeting. Like, this is fun stuff to do. I'm into it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's been out of my comfort zone, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm surprised by how much I have loved it. I think we both were actually, weren't we? We're like, oh, we're not really wanting to like do talks and stuff all the time, but once you start sharing it and it feels less preachy and more like helping, you know, that's when it kind of feels, and it feels really rewarding. And especially, you know, when you get that feedback of like, oh, thanks, that was really helpful, or, oh, I really resonated with this, and, you know, I really connected with this, and you go, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing it for connection. Yes. Not just to be like, everyone listen to me, I'm the smartest one in the room.
Yeah, you know, and we've already touched on like how exciting it is to have that community around you, and like you said, community are more than things like Instagram DMs, but like sharing knowledge and sharing tasks and like really actually working together as a collaborative.
Yes,
that having that in spades has been just an absolute delight. And also I think, because you are right that both of us at the beginning of this were like, oh god, do we really want to be doing talks, do we really want to be doing workshops? But I think that's because we've been to so many bad ones.
Yes, and actually, that's exactly it.
Now that we've started doing them and we've started to find these other communities that offer this kind of stuff, every single one that we attend now is amazing. Everyone that we host is really cool. Everyone that we go to, because we've found our collective of people. We're not listening to like Brad, the marketing guru, with a backwards cap on, talking about stuff exactly that nobody wants to know.
It's finding those authentic groups and doing it authentically, which I know authentic is like a very overused word, but we have all been to that free webinar, which is just a sales pitch for their paid product. We've all been there, and that's just kind of what threw me off first. Like, oh no, I don't want to be that person. That's just like, and for only $69.99, you can do this magical blah 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 blah. You're like, why did I watch this whole video just for you to like sell me that all the answers are in behind this paywall? You know, every time.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's been fantastic, and also it's really helped because of the community aspect. It's helped us get to know a lot about our audience as well, like the people that we're trying to help in like a really like easy way. Obviously, you can put it out there on Instagram and you can ask for feedback and you can like do polls and stuff like that. But you know, it's very hit and miss and it can be up and down. However, you know, working out in these workshops and talks, you know, what the direct questions are from them, you're like, oh, okay, this is maybe where people are struggling, or this is what they need more about. So yeah, taking that on board and being able to use that throughout everything else has been, so invaluable to us, I think, as well.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I think having that one-to-one, not one-to-one, but, you know, that dedicated time with people face to face, where you do get to ask questions and you do get to see in real time the things that they are struggling with and the things that do confuse them. Yeah, massively important. And I think it's helped us shape all of our offers, having that kind of connection. So what about the bad? What's not the bad? I hate that we've called it the bad, but there we go. What about the bad?
The bad. So it's just been, as always, like everything. I wish I could, you know, create more. It's just time. It takes time. It takes time to research. And also, as much as, you know, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that we have, but we are perfectionists, you know, and I also am highly technical. So sometimes I go, I've done my bit, I've done my research, and like I've just got like pages and pages for then poor Nay to go, no one needs all this. Like, we
have 15 minutes. Let's
I'm just like, oh, but I could talk about all of this. She's like, okay, shutting it down. So yeah, yeah, quiet time now, Louise. But yeah, so and that's because I'm passionate and I want to help, but yeah,
Yes.
but just again, it's that going back to that point we made earlier, is that this is meant to be, we understand our audience, we understand female founders have a very limited amount of time. We want to give you the take the shortest amount of time to get the biggest results. That's kind of what we're always wanting to give you. So that takes time. We've got to take all our years of experience and condense it down into like an hour talk that will actually help you grow your business, and that will take time. So
absolutely. And I think another thing that's come up quite a bit for me in particular, I don't know if I think you probably do, is that it really has reawakened some of those feelings of like imposter syndrome, and because it's quite vulnerable, isn't it? It's a big step to go from offering a service to then teaching on a topic. There's this part of me that still is like, who do you think you are? Like, why do you think that you get to be an authority on this? And I know that that's not true, and I know that it's just that horrible little voice, but I haven't had that for years.
Do you know what? It's a bizarre one for me actually, because often before we do the talks, I get that kind of jittery. I get like butterflies in the stomach. I'm a bit nervous, but partway through it, or even like 10 minutes into it, and we're getting questions, I'm like, I know this stuff, and I can see them go, oh, or like I can see it kind of like something click, or like something resonates with the way that we're wording it, and it's like we've unlocked something. And I'm like, oh, this is what, and so I feel like I'm so glad that I can share this, and it flows quite. I mean, also the hard part with me is shutting up, isn't it? Especially when it comes to like SEO. I'm like, oh, and did you know? And did you know? And you're like, okay, calm it down.
But it's so good though, and it's so nice. And you are so right that like it's it's that initial build up, and you start to think like, oh God, is this rubbish? Is anyone going to like this? Like, are we making sense? And then, like you say, you give the talk, you're like, no, I do know this stuff, and I need to be kinder to myself. And how lucky we are to work in an industry that we actually are passionate about, talking to people that we genuinely like. We've never, knock on wood, it's a plastic desk, but knock on wood, we've never given like a talk to I don't want to say hostile, that seems OTT, but like a group that wasn't that keen. We've never had like pushback. I've been in workshops hosted by other people where people have taken a dislike, and it's hard work. And I'm so grateful that we've never had that, and I hope that we never do, because I think that we try and keep things we try and keep things actionable.
I think so. But I think that's also, we talk about it quite a bit, but like knowing your audience, knowing your niche, knowing who your market is, we're quite clear about who that is. And we're not for the corporate guys. It's just not like, I think they can see our branding and go, oh no, lovely, but I'm gonna pass. And that's exactly what we want. Not for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, so what would you say our big lesson is?
So very similar to the last one. It's playing a long game. It takes time, so much time. Guess what? That one talk we did, and we may have spoken to 50, 100 odd people. That's not going to convert. That's not how it works. These things take ages. They then go away. Maybe they sign up on an email list. Maybe they get sent free. They follow us on Instagram. These things and also, I mean, that's not the only reason why we're doing it. We want them to be like, oh, I had this talk from these girls. They were helpful. Maybe you should check them out because you've got your business, and these things just take ages, and it's also like pretty much impossible to track, isn't it? Especially when it's like word of mouth and talking and how they got to you, and
this is it. You're building your brand. You can't attribute, like, we can't go into every workshop or talk or live event that we do thinking, I need to make £500 on this, I need to make £700, because like you said, that's not how it works. You are increasing awareness, you are building your brand, and that the financial gains will come later. So I think that's really important. And I think remembering as well, if you are taking on a lot more of this kind of work in 2024 like we have last year, go easy on yourself, be kind to yourself. You know more than you are telling yourself that you do. You'll do better than you're telling yourself that you will. And if you don't, you just try again. Like, you know, you can muck it up a little bit. It won't be as disastrous as you think.
Yeah.
Just
And
be
very
nice,
similar.
be nice to yourself.
It's like, again, it's a numbers game. It's that you've just got to keep doing it. You know, our first load of talks, you know, we recorded one of our talks ages ago, which we're running again tomorrow. And like, even when we saw us kind of redo it, it was amazing how much better like we've gotten, and like how much more confident, slower, how we're clearer on some of the topics as well. You know,
absolutely,
these things take time, and rather than thinking I need to make so many sales or I need to do so much of this, think I just need to give 10 talks. I need to do 10 podcasts and do those, like, what's it? SMART goals, isn't it? I just need to, this is something that I can control, I can do, I just got to keep doing it. And that's how you get through the day. No.
That's how you get through the day. I love that.
Yeah. But okay. And so, do you know what else we've done this year? Can you guess?
I couldn't possibly guess. I couldn't even begin to guess.
Very bizarrely, and again, total curveball on this one. Did not see this one coming as well at the start of the year. But we've decided to be, you know, a white male and do a podcast. Yay!
Another white boy with a podcast.
White boy with a podcast. Love that. So that's what we've done. And so that was a lot to do with our visibility, but also again that idea of like community and helping people, and also you'll probably be shocked to hear this, but I think we do love a good chat as well. Shocking.
We are very quiet, reserved types. This is a real struggle for us to get together weekly and talk about web design for an hour. It's really hard for us.
So difficult.
I hope that everyone listening really appreciates our sacrifice.
The hard part is like keeping it to like 20 minutes, which we often don't do, but we do try to.
Oh, that's gone. That's long gone. That
every time we were like, we've got to do 20 minutes. We're like, okay, we've just chatted for way longer, but
yeah, as long as it's valuable and people seem to enjoy it, and that is, you know, we can't overstate. So digging into the good here again, this is very fun work. You know, we're teasing about it being hard. It's really fun. Like, there's a bit of admin to do, there's a bit of marketing to set up, but like, you know, I would record 10 podcasts before other jobs that I would like to do. Like, this is it's a good job to have. And you know, some, particularly since we made the decision to start having guest conversations, I think that was a massive turning point for us. So some of the conversations and some of the things that we've learned, beautiful.
I love the fact that I get to like drill into people who I find so interesting. Drill is probably an awful word. God, that sounds like I really like put them on the chair. Interrogate them. I get to ask questions to people who I find so inspiring in business. You know, and I get to share that, but often, because you know, obviously we make some notes and stuff like that, but I go, as always, well off piece, because I'm like, oh, tell me more about this, because they've said something that I feel like just resonates with me, you know, and resonates with our business that I want to dig into deeper. So just from my own personal curiosity and learning, it's been absolutely incredible. So fun.
And I think, you know, we know for a fact that we don't have a huge listenership. This is still a fairly new podcast. You know, it's very much a labour of love. But we know for a fact, we've had conversations with a handful of people that vibe with it on such a strong level. They're so into it. They're so invested. They like, you know, have taken stuff away from it, that I am so happy with that. If it doesn't ever grow, I'll be like, I'll know that we've had massive impact on like a handful of people. And that makes me feel, it just makes me feel so warm and cozy. So I absolutely love that side of it.
Yeah. Again, it's that idea, community, sharing knowledge, you know, and also just loving the sound of my own voice. So
I know. Who would have thought, mate? You wouldn't even get on video this time last year.
Exactly. I remember being like the first couple of like times doing the podcast, every time like I need a shower. I'm so sweaty. Sweaty.
And that's on personal growth, babe.
Oh, yay!
Yay!
Oh, awesome.
All right, so what hasn't been so shiny about the podcast then? Obviously, it's one of the best things that we've done this year. I absolutely love it. But what have been the challenges around it?
So I think it's like everything, because it's a numbers game and you get better every time and you're learning. You know, we're still working out the vibe. You know, some episodes are just not. So we also, for some reason, I'm not sure why, we just didn't even think about SEO for the titles, because our brains just didn't work like that. So some of the episode titles are not ideal. The format, it took us a little while to kind of get into, but at the same time, it's just one of those things where you're like, well, why would we know this? We've never made a podcast before. Why on earth would we just be like, oh, look, I'm actually great at it? It just takes
podcasting is like an entirely new platform to both of us. Like, I listen to podcasts, but I listen to podcasts about like who shot JFK and like history
different
podcasts.
Slightly
different format. I don't know that translates all that well to two besties chatting about web design. So we weren't going to get it spot on immediately, but I think we're finding our feet with it. I certainly feel like we're hitting a bit of a groove, and now just as we end season 1 and take a break, but we are starting to hit our stride, I would say.
Yes, I think we're starting to get a format, and again, it's that like getting some feedback and seeing what resonates with people. We're like, oh, okay, this is maybe what they want to hear about more, let's pivot it this way. So, it's all a learning game, isn't it?
It really is. And again, it's just about remembering that it's a long-term strategy. It's not like an Instagram post that will have a kind of shelf life of 24 to 48 hours where we're going to make big impact quickly and then forget all about it. Podcasts grow. They grow over time. This will be our 23rd episode, which is absolutely bonkers. That's like 6 months of solid podcasting.
Oh, well done us. Yay!
So, we're getting a good amount of listeners and it's growing each and every week. But we know that this time next year, our listenership will be larger. And then the year after that, it will be even like it snowballs. It's not like social media where you post something and it falls flat. This sort of thing snowballs. So
yes,
put the time in.
Yeah. And like, I think it's also, which we do on like our YouTube channel as well, and blog post and all these things, isn't it? Is that you've actually got to stop looking at the numbers. You've just got to like
stop worrying so much about the tiny little details and what do they call them? Like vanity metrics.
Yes, the vanity metrics. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Yeah. So look away from them, think about what value you're actually doing and make it like a manageable amount for yourself.
100%.
There's no point creating, like, we get this all the time, isn't it? Like, oh, how many blog posts should I write like a week? You're like, why don't you just try like one a month? You'd be surprised by how hard it is to keep up that like cadence, isn't it? It's just like
totally.
It's
and you're still going to benefit. You don't have to go 400 miles an hour. You can make kind of sustainable, steady changes that will still elevate your business in the long term. And that's what this whole year has been about for us, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like expectations and working out like a steady pace for us and being realistic, which is something we're both rubbish at, because often our business meetings, like especially when we were like goal setting and stuff like that, they would happen at a bar that's down by the coast with a bottle of wine and with a couple of iPads and writing some notes, and we'd be all buzzing and excited about all the great things we're going to create and produce and stuff like that, and how we're going to take over the world, which is like super fun and like definitely a great part about working with you. But sometimes we need to get the facts right. Which is
I don't think that you do. I think it's good to go into things with a positive mindset, and we definitely always do that. But sometimes maybe the excitement carries us along a little bit too far.
A bit too much. We're like, oh, I'm so excited to create this, and we're like, oh, probably need to work out.
I think this is probably a really nice little thing to end on. We haven't given up.
No,
it's been a whole year.
It's been tempting, isn't it? Of going, oh god, and then it's like, do you know what? We just need a weekend. That's it, isn't it? Like, I just need to sign off. Like, and then you
100%.
Like, oh, do you know what? What I thought was like everything was too much. It was actually because I was trying to do it all, and we always gave ourselves the deadline of tomorrow. And you're like, why? Why did we?
Why are we doing that to
we
ourselves?
Had to do this many sales by this date? No one is putting this on us other than ourselves. But that's the eldest child syndrome, I think, isn't it, as well?
Oh god, absolutely it is. I think but it's been an absolute blast. This whole year has, even the kind of, as we've touched on so much in this wrap up, which has been lush to do, by the way, because we don't spend too much time kind of reflecting on things that have passed. We're at that stage in our business where we're always moving forward. So it's been really nice, actually, to have the opportunity to properly chat through a lot of this stuff and say, yeah, even if it didn't go how we wanted it to, it's still been fab. We've still loved it. We've still had a great time.
I feel like we have achieved a lot, and we've learned a lot as well. So and we will continue to do so.
Oh, and on that note, guys, this is the last episode for us for season 1. We will be back early 2024. So we're thinking February. We might have a very exciting launch episode that we'll keep you posted on. So if you're listening to this before Christmas, have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. Remember, as always, to catch up with us on Instagram. We are at Lucky Night Studio. We've got some great free resources that you can download from our website. That's luckynightstudio.com. And we look forward to catching up more with you in the new year.
Oh, she's so professional. Everyone take a minute to appreciate how professional Nay sounded. Well done.
Thank you so much. I did a media degree.
And I just bring the colour. That's it.
You do bring the colour, and we love you for it. Thank you so much, babe. I'll speak to you soon.
Bye.